Hey guys, thank you for joining us for another Men's Bible Brief. If you can, join us on Wednesday mornings. The information is on the screen. If not, we got you covered on YouTube right here. Well, let's go ahead and join the brief in progress. God bless you.
Our hump day food for thought is, and this kind of stems from what I said last week, but this is coming from the Bible, Matthew chapter 6, verse 34. I definitely have dealt with a lot in my past and even in my present, but it's a work in progress. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. I repeat that. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will have worry about itself. Each day has trouble of its own. Our speaker for today is none other than Anthony Johnson. Pray us up and take us away.
All right, well, let's get into it. Thank you guys for being patient. So before I get going, I want to let you know I'm going to do a couple of things here just to set some expectations. The first thing that I'm going to do now is, I hope I'm able to do this, I'm going to upload a picture here in the chat of a yacht. I hope this picture comes through. If not, I'll do it at the end. Okay, I'll send it to you here at the end. And then at the end also, I'm going to upload a news link to kind of validate and reaffirm what we're going to be talking about today. So with that being said, let's get into it. Our discussion today is on perseverance. And I'm going to put a subtitle under that entitled Elevate Your Game. And I won't spend a lot of time defining what perseverance is. I believe at this point in our lives that most of us have gone through some things and we understand what perseverance is. And a lot of those times, money can't solve those things. Family can't solve those things. Friends can't solve those things. Our pedigrees can't solve those things. Things such as health concerns, marriage issues, job layoffs, wayward children, maybe even ungrateful friends. We're just going to have some unforeseen circumstances that come up in our lives that we never thought would happen to us. And we find ourselves in positions that we've never experienced before. And how are we to deal with these unexpected things on top of dealing with our everyday issues? And the author in this book gives us some examples of those everyday issues that we have to deal with. And there are 6 issues that are everyday, 24/7, lifelong issues that we're going to have to persevere through for the rest of our lives. And he lists these things, and he named them as besetting sins. And there are 6 of them. The first one is jealousy. It's the ache you feel when other people do well. The second is pessimism. It's just a dispiriting negativity that sours with everything. And I've had to break off a couple of relationships because I had some former friends that were very negative, and it pulls you down. So I had to cut off that relationship. The third one is anger, and it's a strong feeling of annoyance or displeasure or hostility. Lying, that goes without saying. I know people that, you don't even have to bag them into a corner to get them to lie to try to get out of it. You just say good morning and off they go. So lying is one. And then there's the 2 granddaddy of them all, pride and lust. And we know that pride is that self-absorbed sin that places you in the center of everything. I did this, I did that. If it wasn't for me, unwilling to listen to compromise, everything has to be your way. And then the last one is lust. Not just lust for others, people, but lust for more things, influence, power, or position. Those are the 6 things that we have to deal with daily from sun up to sundown. And so not only do we have to deal with these on top of the other unforeseen, we have to deal with those on top of the other unforeseen circumstances. And if we're going to persevere through these things, we have to realize that perseverance is not about talent or ability. It's not about intelligence or IQ. because there's a lot of talented and smart people out there who just don't follow through on their commitments. And perseverance requires faith, unwavering faith. You need grit, you need determination to get through it. It's not a competition. It's about doing the best you can where you are in unpleasant conditions until God comes and changes the situation. And so today I want to share with you a true story about doing the best you can where you are and in pleasant conditions until God comes back and changes the situation. So this is a personal story, and it's about my son, and he gave me permission to tell this story. And I know I've talked to you a couple of you about this. Our son is a boat captain down in Galveston, and he takes people on these deep sea fishing explorations. They film movies on these yachts, scuba dive, snorkeling. Everybody, he's got a pretty good reputation, and he's only one of 2 or 3 African-American captains down there. So he takes a group of people out to what they call the blue water, which is about 100 miles off the coast of Galveston, because Galveston has that greenish, brownish, murky water. So, you don't want to scuba in that. So they go out and they have a good time. And on the way back, the boat stops. This is about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So the boat stops and they're working, trying to get the boat running, and it's not working. So eventually they flag down another boat to get the passengers off the yacht. So now they're trying to figure out what's going on. So they're down here in the engine, hot sun. If you've ever been out on water in that heat, it's no joke. So they've got engine burns, scratches. They're hot and thirsty because they've given all their rations away to the passengers. And so now it's just him and his 2-man crew adrift at sea. So what do you do when there's nothing you can do? You do the best you can where you are in unpleasant conditions until God comes and changes the situation. So I get a call about 8 o'clock on my landline, my home phone. We still have one. And this landline is like my bat phone. Not too many people have the number. And if it rings, I know it's an important call. And it's like Commissioner Gordon having that direct line to Batman. Only call when it's a situation you can't handle yourself. So the phone rings about 8. There's no name on the caller ID, so I see it's from Galveston. And I pick up the phone, and my son, who's really a jovial young man, but he's very direct with me. And he says, "Dad, I'm stuck at sea. The engines are dead. We have no food and water. I'm on a satellite phone, and I don't know how much time is on this phone. I need you to call these specific people." When you're facing adversity, you need specific people for a specific situation that you can call anytime, day or night, that you think can help get the job done. You're just not calling any old body. So I make the phone calls and I get no answer. And I realize, okay, they don't know my number. So I text everyone. Captain X is stuck at sea, needs help, SOS, all that stuff. Took about 15 minutes, and in that time, we're praying. So I get a call back from a deckhand, and he says, the boat owner, who's also a mechanic, has contacted Captain X. They've got one of the motors working now. The seas are calm. They're traveling about 9 miles an hour. There's no moon, but the lights are working on the boat, and he has GPS navigation. So I do some quick math, and I say, okay, this is going to take a while. Let's just be patient. Let's keep praying. So about 4 or 5 that morning, I get a call from his son saying he made it back to shore. And his girlfriend picked him up, and she said he just looked shocked and disheveled, and in her opinion, just near death. And so a few days after this, my son tells me, Dad, all I could think about was you and Mom, my sister, my daughter, and my girlfriend. It was just a traumatic, life-changing event. And it took a few weeks for him to get over. Well, a couple of months, this past Labor Day, in fact, the yacht owner calls him back and says, "Hey, we fixed the boat. I've got a tour schedule. Do you want to go out and charter this event?" And my son goes, "No, it's Labor Day. It's going to be a lot of people out there on the boat, a lot of drunk people. And I don't feel like being harassed by the Coast Guard or who's ever patrolling the water because they have a tendency to stop me whenever they see me. So some of you have heard of the phrase banking while black. So let me be one of the first to introduce you to boating while black. So it's happening on land, air, and sea. But I digress. Let me get back to the brief. So my son declines the offer, and the yacht owner does the tour himself. He gets out about 40 miles offshore, and the boat stops again. He can't get the engine started. It's 8-foot waves, and water starts coming on the boat. The owner has to call the Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard comes with the helicopter, with the little basket, drops the people down, airlifts everybody out the boat. Everybody's safe, but the yacht drifts off to sea and eventually sinks. Now, what the boat owner didn't know is that my son had already decided that he wasn't going to drive for him anymore. And he went out and he got more of a corporate job that had good upside. The boats are newer and they've got a fleet of ships that could come get him like the Navy if he ran into that situation again. And so after my son was able to reassess, kind of recalibrate, he went out, he got this job. In other words, what I'm saying is through persevering through his adversity, he was able to elevate his game. And that's good news. The bad news is we still have too many men out there that are willing to go down with a sinking ship. And that's not acceptable. So how do we persevere when life throws us a curveball? I think James provides the best insight. And what I'm about to talk about is James. It's just from me reading this the past week. To me, James is kind of an in-your-face, no holds barred, no sugarcoating, straight to the point apostle. And he says here in James 1:1-4, greetings. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. So James just comes right out the gate talking about trials. And again, this is what James is saying to me. Shut up, stop whining, stop crying, stop complaining, and deal with it. You need to keep going because you know that there's a crown for you at the end of this road. And he's saying, check the track record. Look at the history. Look at what you've been through in your past. God is 58 billion and he's undefeated. Every time he brought you through your circumstance, you've come out for the better. And in times of perseverance, when perseverance is required, it could mean that God is getting ready to elevate your game. But before he can elevate us, we have to recognize that we're still rough around the edges. And so God has to sift us a bit, kind of like Peter was. He has to sift us to smooth out those edges and refine us. And when he does, we'll all come out better on the other end. And then later in James 1:12, he said, blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, the person will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. To me, it's reassurance that we're going to come out better. And there's some joy in discovering how real and strong our faith is. You'll discover something about yourself that you wouldn't otherwise discover if you didn't go through the trials. And then James reminds us that while we're dealing with our trials, we need to go back and help somebody else deal with their situation while we're going through our own issues. But there's more. He says, also, I need you to deal with these daily besetting sins that you're going to face when you wake up each and every day, on top of helping somebody else, on top of dealing with your situation. But wait, there's more. I need you to continue to do the right thing, do the best you can, where you are, and in pleasant conditions until God comes back and changes the situation. And since we don't know when God is going to come back and change the situation, I'm going to give you a group of people that you can call for any specific situation, anytime, 24/7, day or night, to help you deal with whatever can come up. And what they can't handle, I will handle it. You just have faith. And by the way, shut up, stop whining, stop complaining, stop crying, and deal with it. James is he's just cold-blooded, man. He just straight to the point. And that may be the reason it's only 5 chapters. There's no fluff, no political correctness. It's just simply, if you're going to be a Christian, be a real Christian. And it's in these adverse times when perseverance is needed that we have to look at ourselves in the mirror, despite what's going on with us, despite helping other people, despite dealing with the besetting sins, and whatever it is that's going on that we don't even tell people about that's going on in our mind. We have to look at ourselves in the mirror, and we have to ask ourselves, in this situation, am I going to be a powerful Christian, or am I going to be a pitiful Christian? As men, I know we have this lone wolf mentality, but let me tell you, we can't do it alone. There are men out there sinking with the ship, and somebody needs the number to your bat phone. So my time is just about up, so I will close with this. All of you know the Olympic Summer Games are here, and there are going to be thousands of Olympians participating in these summer games. And not every one of them are going to receive a gold, silver, or bronze medal. However, that does not make them any less Olympians. They are all still Olympians. And we need to have a circle of Olympian friends, Olympian Christian friends, that we can call on for specific situations, anytime, day or night, to help us get the job done. And not all of our friends are going to be pastors or ministers or reverends. It could be a choir member, Ursha board member, someone in BTU, or even in the children's ministry. But that does not make them any less Christian. They're all still Christian. And we can't keep judging people based on status, a title, or how much they tithe. If we can have an Olympic circle of Christian friends that walk alongside Jesus, not only will they help us persevere through our adversity, but they'll also help us to elevate our game. Here are the questions for today. How has persevering through adversity helped you to elevate your game? And question number 2, how can we prevent other men from going down on a sinking ship? So that's it for me. I'll turn it back over to Minister Jordan to lead us through the discussion questions, and I will upload this link and pictures in the chat for you guys to see after the brief.